Brothers want war, we gon' fight them till the battle ends. Tigers come running, we gon' fight them till the bloody end. When the elephants come, they gon' bow to my brethren. Lock him in a cage, parade him to the lion's den.
On Mojo 50 Radio. The Millennial Conservative Resistance begins right here, right now.
The Millennial Conservative Resistance doesn't even begin right here, right now with you. You were listening to, and damn, I hope you're watching, the Holonet on the mighty, the powerful Mojo 50 Radio. Today it is Saturday. It is the 27th of June, in the year of our Lord 2020. The fourth year of the Trumpian age. In the time of the plague, we are down with the Rona here in Arizona. And I'm your host, Matt Holloway. Oh my God, what a friggin' week. What a friggin' week. We've got a very exciting show for you. First and foremost, want to issue our heartfelt congratulations for the successful coup d'etat of Mojo 50 Radio by the Millennial Conservative Resistance. My conservative brother from another mother, Mr. Andrew Coppins, now ascending to the vaunted status of a weekday host. Congratulations, my friend Andrew. Go forth and conquer, good sir. Make sure you catch that Tuesday. That is, again, starting this Tuesday, the 6th at 6, I believe it is. Is this Tuesday the 6th? Hang on, I suck with dates. No, it's, next Monday. Derp. I derped my derp, and then I derpy-derped. Yeah, so it's Monday, the 6th of July, the 6th at 6. And I strongly encourage you to enjoy that. If you did not have a chance to listen to him, make sure you go back and check him out on the replay. His show comes on before mine. I believe he's on at 3 p.m. on Saturdays right now for the last time. And also our other Millennial Conservative Resistance member, Mr. Pat Oney, the Pat Oney Show. He is the authentic redheaded stepchild of Mojo 50, being the ginger demon that he is. So make sure you check him out as well. Very, very fascinating stuff today. We're going to be talking just briefly, kind of a 30,000-foot, 50,000-mile-an-hour view of the Project Veritas expose that came out this week. I want you to go check it out. Link's going to be in the description. So we're going to touch on it a little bit. And I say we because this week I am joined by none other than an old friend of the program coming to us via Discord. We call him Codename Avalon in respect for his future employability, which is another factor we're going to discuss today. It's a little rough for a conservative to get a job in the tech field these days, as Avalon has had a personal experience with, and so have I. Avalon, are you with us? Okay, Avalon's not back yet. I think he might be dropping a deucer. So we're going to go ahead and go to our ad real quick. Gotta get those ad points in, right? Well, I want you to make sure you go to AmericanPrideRoasters.com. AmericanPrideRoasters.com. American Pride Roasters is the official coffee of Mojo 50 Radio. DM at DM still has not created HoloNet Fuel, but hey, I did get this wonderful new HoloNet coffee mug. This exclusive, beautiful coffee mug embossed with the logos of the HoloNet and also Mojo 50 Radio. Live free right on the back of that, so you can tell people simultaneously that they need to live free and that they need to hold the line. That is a fine drinking vessel. And stick around. Let me know if you're interested in acquiring one of these, because I am looking for a way to set this up, possibly with a Patreon, possibly with a Subscribe Star, and make this a reward for your ongoing support of the HoloNet. So, love how I segued from one ad into another, right? American Pride Roasters. You can get the Washington for £1. It's $14. You can get the Franklin, the Madison. The Madison is cinnamon and cacao. That's actually really good. You also have the Oregon Trail, which is a hazelnut blonde. I really want to try that because I love all things hazelnut. And you have, of course, your Mojo 50 themed coffees. Izzo's Rage, the angriest coffee in recorded history. Bells of Liberty, chocolate-covered strawberry. You have Ron's Sessual chocolate there. Doc Thompson's Bacon Blast. And On the Roof, $20, same as downtown. Now, I'm going to go ahead and dive on in here, just to give you a couple of ideas of where we're going here. This is a story going all the way back to 2016. This is by David Neal, senior editor at the Working Journalist Press. The title is "Trump Supporters Need Not Apply." Whew. He writes, "In a previous editorial, I expressed my displeasure with the choices of President." Here we go. "I lamented the choice between a poor candidate and a defective one. Since that editorial, much has happened. My shock at the depth of mental defectiveness on the part of Donald Trump can only be equaled by the depth of my disappointment in the portion of the American public who still support this unbalanced demagogue. I've been a business owner for 2.5 decades. I've met a lot of people. I've worked with a lot of people. I've hired a lot of people. I have fired a few people. I've always made sure my employees, who I consider to be my coworkers, isn't that nice, were paid first, and were paid as well as possible before I took anything out of the business for myself. I respect the men and women of this country who produce the real goods and services that we all need in order to live. I never judge anyone by their education level. Bullshit! Excuse me. I judge people by their actions and how those actions reflect their character. I would never base a negative hiring decision on the political views of a job application if different from my own views, so long as the applicant's views exist in a realm of rational policy choices." You see this? He's setting up a fallacy here. It's, I would never do this, but... However, if the political choice represents an existential threat to our planet... Hyperbole much? By putting control of the United States into the hands of a seriously psychologically disturbed person, okay, doctor, as I believe Donald Trump to be, then failure to recognize this on the part of a job candidate is an indicator of the unsuitability of that job candidate to perform the cognitive duties required for a position with our company. Boy. For example, if one presidential candidate has a public record of condoning or engaging in sexual misconduct, including boasting of committing sexual assault and making unwanted sexual advances toward married women, as Donald Trump does, then that character flaw alone should disqualify the person from office of the President of the United States. If a job applicant can't make that kind of fundamental ethical determination, they would be unable to make the correct decisions in the workplace. Now what we're going to hear, this is me not reading, is an ongoing screed of why you can't hire a Trump supporter. And this, the way this comes across is as if it is a balm for the author's own guilty conscience for the inherent fact that they are choosing to make a hiring decision based purely on political bias and discrimination, which I believe is becoming far more prominent as we get deeper into the Trumpian age and as the divide, the rift between right and left grows wider and wider. He goes on to say, Hillary Clinton is not my preferred choice for president. I don't think she has all the personality characteristics that I'd like to see in a leader of the free world. I think she's too status quo predictable, and I'd like to see more change that benefits working Americans than she's likely to bring about as president. She is capable of doing the job, however. Well, it seems that a large portion of the American public disagreed with you. So we go now. Avalon, have you joined us? Paging Avalon. All right, we'll roll on without him. Like I said, he's going to be joining us in a little bit. A little unpredictable about where he can hop in, but we're just going to keep the train rolling. Okay, so it seems I have a technical issue. Let me see if I can correct that real fast. All right, Avalon, are you with us?
Bum 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 bum
Yes,
bum 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 bum.
Yes, we can hear him now. Avalon, welcome to the HoloNet, sir.
Yay! I have been given a voice.
You have been given a voice.
I'm sorry. Don't put me in the box again.
I can put you in the box whenever I want to. Damn it! And you will enjoy the box. Love the box.
I just watched Hook, so the Boo Box.
The Boo Box. No, the Boo Box. No. Of course, if you ever watch Louder with Crowder, they have their own version of a Boo Box, which is it's the Boo Vox, where you throw a guy in the box with a cell phone that's only playing Vox.
Oh no.
Yeah, I actually think that's worse than Scorpions, but I digress. Avalon, did you hear about the story that I was reading out there from WP Press, from Working Journalist Press?
I did not.
Okay.
Well, we were having audio issues.
Well, we were touching base on an article here back in 2016 where the author, David Neal, senior editor for the Working Journalist Press, was clearly soothing his bruised ethics by giving basically justification after justification of why he can't in good conscience hire a Trump supporter. Now, you and I were talking about this a little bit before the show, and you've actually had a personal experience with the type of discrimination based on conservative political thought. You were starting to get into that. You don't have to say the name of the company. I don't want anybody to have a potential link to you, but could you tell us a little bit about your experience?
It was rather short, so I got the little ones with me here.
Hey, I'm a father.
They're riding along. I actually did apply for a position with a team that was basically going to be IT staff for moderators, for technical moderators. I actually didn't have a job at the time. It was before I met you. So I was pretty I was desperate at the time, I guess you could say. I interviewed. The first interview went rather well, just what we do here. You know, technical skills, all of that. But then there was a second interview with a different man, much more, I guess, a much more serious or straightforward person. And you know, he asked me if I would be okay with seeing violence and all this other stuff like that. And this is probably like 2016, 2017. But he then started asking me questions like about social situations, but not in like a normal context. You know, do you get along with coworkers well? Can you work with others? Which is really what I was expecting, but more like if an employee said one thing that was, you know, maybe sensitive, you know, would you essentially like report on them. You know, if a manager was saying things that you didn't agree with, would you say something otherwise? Would you, if you didn't like another company, would you, you know, if asked about it, would you say so? And another question is along that line of thinking, and I didn't really like where it was starting to turn at that point, but I just kind of responsibly answered, even though deep down I was just like, um, this is probably going to take any chances of employment I have here. So I just responded truthfully, and the attitude in the room got very formal.
Ah,
It's the nicest way I can put it. So, um, beyond that, I haven't really been, I haven't seen too much of it personally, but I have many friends who have had more direct experiences.
well, I'm glad you could share your experience with us. I mean, some of those questions that you were asked. I mean, I've been on the interviewer side of things, and it is a question. When you ask somebody, "Hey, do you believe in talking to people about your other experiences at other companies? Would you speak badly about a previous company if it was bad experience?" That is kind of a reasonable question there, but when you start talking about the more social situations, like if your manager was saying something that you didn't like, that starts to rankle me a little bit. That starts to sound like you're talking to the commissar of that company's Politburo. If somebody says something that offends you, are you likely to come forward? Because that means that company is looking for whether or not you're going to be a squeaky wheel. Or are you the type of person who's going to go along and get along?
It definitely came along more as that. I've been to a lot of interviews during that time period just due to my situation. Um, the only reason I really remember it is because it stuck out to me. Um, it was very weird at the time. I didn't really understand why the questions were phrased in the way that he said it.
Yeah, it just struck me as a little bit odd as well. But I have a story here in front of me. Sorry, Avalon can't see this, but it's from The Hill from March of 2019, so a little over a year old. It said a new poll released Friday found that Republican voters overwhelmingly believe ideological conservatives face large-scale discrimination from society. In a Hill Harris X survey, 78% of GOP respondents said they believe the conservatives have to deal with discriminatory behavior from other Americans. The plurality of Republicans, 31%, that conservatives face a lot of discrimination. By contrast, just 16% of Democrats said that liberals face a lot of discrimination in society. So that's quite an interesting split. We actually have a little bit of audio here from The Hill. We'll see if I can get it to come across.
Yeah, Rob, we hear about it on campuses too a lot, right? That conservatives don't have a place to espouse their views on college campuses these days.
And I think one of the things that helps fuel this and helps make this more of, I think, a salient point that we can say, okay, there's probably some truth to this, is the fact that at present, I think discrimination against people on the basis of their political beliefs, on the basis of their partisan attachments, is actually pretty open season, right? We have, as a society, have slowly over time said, okay, you can't do it on the basis of race or religion or people's gender, that has become a more accepted idea over time. But if anything, partisanship seemingly has ramped up, where we feel pretty open expressing sort of disgust at people from across the aisle and discriminating against them in pretty open ways. So this is something that we probably have to start to sort of watch as a society, that this is something where we've allowed ourselves to say this type of thing is perfectly acceptable.
Well, you do research around how people are sorting themselves based on their ideology and their beliefs and their politics. Could it be, this goes back to your feedback loop, Sophia, that because we're surrounding ourselves with people who think like us, when someone comes into our world that thinks differently, there's kind of a community reaction against that. Like they attack it like antibodies going after a virus. Right?
No, this is the contact hypothesis, right? the more often you are exposed to diversity, the more accepting you are of that diversity. And the reverse also holds true. If you're going to isolate yourself in a wide variety of ways, not just your geography, but also your social life, how does that start to have an impact on your ability to really just deal with people with whom you have significant differences?
So that kind of goes back to something we talked about in a previous show. God, I want to say almost 3 years ago. So I don't think, you and I were talking at that point, Avalon, but I put out a show called Our Echo Chambers Are Killing Us. And, I'm sorry, I didn't get the man's name. The doctor there, let me just see if I can mute that and re-roll it and get the guy's name. Come on. I love it when they cut off the descriptor on the bottom of the screen, so you can't get the guy's name anymore. That's so wonderful. Anyhow, in the interview for What America's Thinking, they were discussing that, how your echo chamber winds up attacking like antibodies when you get a differing opinion. So, Avalon, the reason that I've come to all this is that I've personally seen in the job market and in other jobs that I've worked in, not any that I'm working at now, a heavy lean against conservatives and a bit of a repressive atmosphere there, where you're very, very cautious in speaking your views from a political standpoint because you're plain and simple outnumbered. And I think in the call center cultures in Phoenix, Tempe, Mesa, because this is basically the call center capital of the Southwest, you see a lot of that. And I know you've worked in that environment as well.
I certainly have.
So what we're kind of alluding to here, what we're kind of leading to, is number one, this concept of discrimination based on political leaning. My assertion is that it does exist. The left is trying to assert very strongly through articles like this one at the Medium, why do liberals think Trump supporters are stupid? In papers, grants conservative face discrimination in philosophy departments of study finds, according to the College Fix. But there was another that I also had prepped that I closed because I'm a dingus, which is an article, I'll put the link in the description, stating that our concept of discrimination due to political philosophy is overblown. If anything, I would say it's underreported. But this past week, a story came out from Project Veritas, an expose on Facebook's out-and-out discrimination against conservative voices. To everybody on the right, to every shit poster out there, this was no shock at all. We've seen it over and over again. We've seen voices drummed out. Everybody is fleeing over to Parler. Are you on Parler, Avalon?
I am aware of the network. I am not yet on it. I provide means of communications on other networks, but I have not yet joined Parler.
Well, just so everybody else knows, the HoloNet is on Parler. I'm also on Minds, Gab, etc., so on and so forth. Everywhere you can find great independent content. Oh, hell. Looks like we got to take our first half-hour break. That went fast. I blew right through my commercial. I'll have to get a twofer on the other end. That music means, Avalon, stick with us. We're going to be coming back from a quick break here. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the HoloNet on the mighty and powerful Mojo 50 Radio.
You're listening to the Holonet on Mojo 50 Radio. The Millennial Conservative Resistance begins right here, right now.
We're back. Mojo 50 Radio. Still joining me, freshly back from the break, we have Avalon joining us via Discord. Thanks for sticking around, Avalon.
No problem, Matt.
So, before the break, I noted that I blew straight through another commercial break because I'm a goof, and this is why my sponsors love me. But I did want to go ahead and direct everybody's attention to preparewithmojo50.com. That is preparewithmojo50.com. It is our very own gateway into My Patriot Supply. So again, preparewithmojo50.com. You can get a 4-week emergency food supply at $197. You save $100 off the top. It's 2,000 calories a day, 284 servings, breakfast, lunches, dinners, drinks, and snacks, 12 food varieties up to a 25-year shelf life, free shipping and handling, limit 3 per household. So that means with my big-ass family, I gotta buy 6. Inside the 4-week supply, you actually get creamy stroganoff, powdery whey milk, creamy Alfredo pasta, Maple Grove oatmeal, creamy, boy, they like creamy stuff, chicken flavored rice, mac and cheese, I'm going to get in trouble with Beth for that, buttermilk pancakes, long grained white rice, cheesy broccoli soup, chocolate pudding, and strawberry flavored creamy wheat. Notice it's not cream of wheat, it's creamy wheat. I don't know what creamy wheat is. And it has, of course, your orange energy drink mix, because we all know after the apocalypse, Rockstar and Monster will no longer be available. So, make sure you go to preparewithmojo50.com. And, by the way, once you get here, if you want to buy something else on My Patriot Supply, just click on their logo. And you can go to anything else on their website, their whole catalog, and it will still let them know that you got there through Mojo 50. And it's a great way to support our network, support the Holonet, and support the last bastion of free speech radio here on Mojo 50 Radio. All right, sorry about that, Avalon. Gotta get my shillings in.
I forgive you.
Got to shill for the shekels, dude.
It's fine.
So, I will show you another good trick that I know. Project Veritas. Now, you'd mentioned to me that you had watched a good deal of the expose, that you hadn't finished it yet. But I'm just going to run some quick audio for our members of the audience who haven't. This is about, I think, 3 minutes long. But this is going to give you kind of a primer. This is, hopefully they don't copyright slam me for this. But this is their own teaser off of their Twitter. So I shouldn't get in trouble. Let me see if I can make that happen here. See, this is why I need an in-studio producer. Because I never have anything queued up when I need it, and then I need to vamp and fill air. So it's kind of fun.
If only we know someone who could do that.
If only we did. If only. Let me see, it was the 25th he popped this off. There we go.
Why did you decide to come to Project Veritas?
We're deleting or actioning 300 posts a day, and so if you magnify that by however many content moderators there are on a global scale, that's a lot of stuff that's getting taken down. So I saw some discrepancies, I saw some evidence of bias.
We bring the game to it could work on the left side.
Yes.
But the left
How? Yeah, how?
freedom of speech is the main one.
That's what you said. Facebook favors the left.
They do.
100%. We work with a lot of liberals.
Yeah.
I would go in there with a MAGA shirt or a MAGA hat, I'd get my ass beat.
They were able to fire him without having to worry about discrimination.
Due diligence, right.
No,
Yes, well, because it's a white
James
man.
Amore.
Yeah, white man, so no problem. He can't do it that easily if there are other issues.
Oh, it's easier when they're...
White men.
Okay.
No one has the white man's back anymore.
You're saying because he's a white male, there's more
that if
leverage.
he chose to sue the company, Most attorneys would just laugh.
Talk to me about what we're looking at here.
Basically, it's okay to call straight white males filth if in the context of for not supporting the LGBT.
Hate speech is allowed if it's, quote, intended to raise awareness for pride LGBTQ. So hate speech is allowed in some cases, but apparently not others?
Correct.
And I think we have some tape of people saying that you were targeted because you're a white male.
He applied for 2 jobs that he should have got.
But he didn't get them? Ryan applied for 2 jobs. He did not get them because he's white and conservative? Or just...
So I've spent quite a bit of time looking at pictures of hate organizations, Hitler, Nazis, MAGA, Proud Boys, all that stuff all day long.
So yeah, he groups together hate organizations, Hitler, Nazis, MAGA. So that's kind of how the moderators are conditioned to think. So the policy is called dangerous individuals and organizations. So in that same list, there's also terrorists.
I'm assuming you had a confidentiality agreement with Facebook's Cognizant. Are you worried?
Yeah, so I signed the confidentiality agreement with Cognizant. But at that point, I was seeing them interfering on a global level in elections.
But yeah, we've been getting a lot of content about it. I had like at least 10 jobs today.
A bunch of shit rednecks threatening civil war today.
I know, for real, guys.
Yeah.
I managed to...
Trump supporters are crazy ass assholes that every other other rallies, come take it.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's like, listen, I'm the government person.
Yeah.
But you're not going to catch me rioting over the It's like impeachment. Like it's a problem. Like it doesn't just happen. Trump called it a coup.
Yeah.
And it's like that should scare you more.
Like they're allowing political ads still.
Yes.
So now they can give more exposure to the left versus the right.
100%. Yes.
Let me ask you this: do you guys feel like Ryan got targeted because he's conservative?
He did.
He got targeted because he's conservative. But Facebook obviously hates Trump.
Yes, 100%. They do.
So Facebook's like favoring the left with the policy.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And we're doing it banned and blocked.
And so if you magnify that by however many content moderators there are on a global scale, that's a lot of stuff that's getting taken down. I thought people deserved to know what was going on.
All right, so this guy Ryan definitely lost his job. And now it comes out, actually, that the woman that was briefly interviewed there, the senior HR representative from Facebook, as it was presented, Leslie Brown, she appeared in Project Veritas video, she was fired, according to a text received by Project Veritas CEO James O'Keefe, where she said, "I have now been fired from my temp agency because of this video, and I've received death threats. Thank you for absolutely screwing up my life." Ooh. Burn. So, Avalon, what did you think of Ryan's story?
It's not really all that surprising.
That could have been any call center.
Welcome to the cultural war.
That could have seriously been any call center I ever set foot in.
It really could have been. I've worked in call center environments a lot. I no longer have to do that. The amount of stuff said there is, questionable at best sometimes.
I worked in a call center in 2012 during Obama's second campaign. And I worked in a call center in 2016. And oh my God. When politics came up, it used to be that in our row, because, call centers are arranged in rows, you could discuss a little bit of politics as long as you stayed off of the third rails. You don't want to start talking about abortion. You don't want to start talking about, what's another really bad one? You don't want to start talking about, racial politics or stuff like that. You don't want to start talking about stuff that makes the HR people sweat. But you don't want to start. You don't want to sit in the row and bash Islam. Obviously, that's just poor survival mechanisms. Even though to rights, in my personal time, I should be able to talk all the smack about Muhammad being a child rapist that I want. But there is that.
I think I just heard the sound of your Yes, that was you being demonetized.
Oh, let the demonetization process begin. But anyway. But as I said, in a personal capacity, I can get that I should be able to lobby any criticisms at any religion that I want to, because lobbying a criticism at a religion is not per se persecuting said religion. It is making a reasoned argument against it, and I think that sunlight is the best disinfectant, and that's why the Protestants and Catholics fought each other like cats and dogs all the way up until when was the Bloody Sunday in Ireland? The last time Protestants and Catholics were killing each other for that reason. Excuse me.
Oh man, you're judging on some deep, dark things in their history.
I do. I don't hold back on that kind of crap. But anyway, that's why the Reformation was good for Christianity, and I still maintain that I really do hope we see a Muslim Reformation. I think that's entirely possible, and I think there are some really great figures that are out there. But I digress. We were talking about Facebook, and how this could be any call center that Avalon or I worked in here in the greater Phoenix Metro before. And the big difference between the Obama re-election in 2012 and the Trump campaign in 2016. And it got so toxic, so fast. It was like nothing I had ever seen before. Because I've been on the forefront of political discourse, and I was writing for the other outlet at that time, and I didn't really have any problems. But when I started talking about Trump, and when you start bringing that up in the workplace, I will tell you right now, supporting Trump today in your workplace or visibly when you're applying for a job is every bit as damaging as walking in to that interview or to that job wearing like InfoWars gear or let me see here, what's the best thing? Or making statements against gay marriage. I would suggest it's every bit as toxic and harmful and will get you landed in HR. You walk into the office with a MAGA hat on, in the vast majority of companies, you're probably walking out with a pink slip. Now, on paper, that's not going to be the reason. Even though, dead to rights, and this is according to the Business Insider, I'll dig up this link for the description as well, it is completely legal to terminate someone due to their political affiliation. Were you aware of that, Avalon?
Actually, yeah, I am. Luckily, I have the good graces to work at a place where they ask people to keep that at home. It's not something that's discussed in the office on purpose. In fact, it's disencouraged.
Likewise, and you'll find that at a lot of businesses. But what is becoming very insidious is during the hiring process, when your background is investigated and your social media is scanned, unless you have your social media privacy settings dialed up to 11, and even in some cases if you do, then you are in for a rough road. Much less if you are an outspoken conservative who is deliberately trying to put your political views out there and messaging out there. You may very well render yourself unhireable, as we saw with Count Dankula, Mark Meekum, in the UK. Completely unhireable. The man is a social pariah. Mainly because he told a joke where he taught his girlfriend's pug to Nazi salute.
Or you could be like me and not have any.
Yes, as I said, you can crank up your privacy settings to 11. And keep very much to yourself and keep your head down. But what I'm getting at is that all of this is actually giving me a bit of hope, and I know that's weird. And I'm going to explain why, and I'd love to have your thoughts as well, Avalon. Everybody is
go ahead.
Everybody is screaming about the polls. You know, Biden's ahead in the polls. This, that, and the other. You know, AOC is up, and it's very much doom and gloom when you're scrolling through your social media feeds, when you're listening to the news, if you have a view that is to the right. And even if you're not a dyed-in-the-wool Trump supporter, if you have views that are other than the progressive socialist left, it looks like a very grim picture. But point blank, even with the active suppression efforts that are still taking place at Google, at Facebook, in social settings, you're still seeing conservative content. You're still seeing libertarian content. I think I've seen Joe Jorgensen's name more in the last 3 weeks than I ever saw any other libertarian candidate. I mean, here we are in Arizona. This is Nick Sarwark's backyard. And I have never seen this much libertarian content as when Joe Jorgensen got the nod for presidential nominee.
I'd have to agree.
I mean, they are getting her name out there, and that's impressive. I don't know if I'm going to vote for the Libertarian Party. I'm pretty sure I'm going to wind up voting for Donald Trump for president. Why? Because I don't think the Libertarian Party has a viable chance this time. I think they're probably going to do better than they did last, because people are waking up and they're getting sick of the dialectic. But I digress. I mean, I think they had a record-shattering year in 2016 when, the vast majority of people didn't like either candidate. But what gives me hope is that despite all of these active suppression efforts that are out there, you're still seeing it on social media. You're still seeing conservatives on Twitter. You're still seeing conservatives on Facebook. You're still seeing us on YouTube and absolutely on BitChute. And the capitalist response to this level of repression through social media is that Gab is bigger than ever. Parler has exploded. Minds is bigger than ever. The alternate social media streams are growing at a breakneck pace, making them rapidly approach financial viability as an ongoing concern, which creates a different concern, as I said, about our echo chambers. If there's literally two different social media networks out there, one for the left and one for the right, and nary do they communicate, that could actually amplify the problem we have right now of being divided. But I don't see another solution aside from somehow forcing these social media companies to act as a platform, not a publisher. But that requires big government stepping in. That's another animal altogether. But what is giving me hope is that despite all of this active suppression of voices on the right, libertarian and conservative voices, they're still getting through. How many are struck down, and how many are still picking their heads up? So that tells me that the grassroots is much larger because we're still seeing it, we're still hearing it, despite the active suppression that's out there. What do you think?
I actually don't think that's all too unsurprising. I mean, the majority of people eligible to vote are neither Republican nor Democrat right now. And as for the platform issue, yeah, I wouldn't want to have, essentially alt-left and alt-right only platforms. That's not really going to fix the issue. I would also argue that we don't necessarily have a tech issue. We have a cultural and social issue, and that's seeing itself play out in the tech world.
I would agree. It's a cultural issue in that some of these tech giants have very clearly taken a side.
Absolutely.
Facebook and Google have chosen their side. They've chosen who is the winner in their mind, and everyone else be damned. So, with that first move being made by these tech giants, that they want to embrace the leftists and progressive socialism, what ground does that leave conservatives and libertarians to go to but to create their own outlets and compete?
It really just leaves us really on our own. If the key to this answer really is ourselves. No one else is going to do it for us. We as Americans must collectively really move forward and try and fix this ourselves. Whether or not it's going to work is another story entirely. But this is very much, get up and take action or sit back and watch.
Well, I've got a clip here from Tim Pool from his Timcast IRL channel. He and his staff the other day were talking about what they view may be the most plausible cause of a civil war, the national popular vote, which is one of my favorite bones to gnaw on. It's one of my absolute favorite gripes. So I'm going to play a little bit of audio from Tim Pool here. Link to his video will be in the description because we believe in fair use, and so does he. And I don't believe in copying somebody's video word for word. And I just like for us to listen and respond to it a little bit, Avalon, and we'll see where we go from there. But this kind of dovetails in to the cultural divestiture that we're seeing. Now we're seeing two different social media empires basically arise. We haven't seen the equivalent of Facebook yet, although Minds is getting close. We've seen the equivalent of Twitter come out in the forms of Gab and Parlay. We've seen the competitor to BitChute, YouTube come out in the form of BitChute. How far are we from getting two separate countries out of that? So Tim Pool's going to talk about the most plausible cause of a civil war.
Which should be the worrying part of all of this.
Yeah.
Could it be that some state... Now, Michigan was maybe the wrong choice. I chose Michigan because Governor Whitmer is very awful.
Well, aren't they trying to boot her? Isn't there like...
There's recall petitions in a ton of places. Yeah. Check this out. What you are seeing is the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. Have you heard of this?
I have not, no.
You have heard of this?
I have. We've talked about it.
Oh, I've talked about this a whole lot.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the general idea. A bunch of, for the most part, blue states believe that the popular vote winner should be the president. But the current system is that the states choose their electorates, and then the electoral votes go to whoever, right?
Okay.
Here's their plan. Instead of abolishing the Electoral College, we all agree that if we have 270 votes between our pact, then we all give our votes to the popular vote winner, regardless of what the states vote for. It is one of the stupidest ideas I have ever heard. These people clearly have not thought things through. You know why?
How come?
Right now, California has 55 electoral votes.
Okay.
When will it ever give those to a Republican? Never. You know why? Because it is what, 65 to 70% blue. I think it's 70% blue.
Hugely, yeah.
Meaning right now, on its own, it will always be blue.
Good point.
They decided to do this National Popular Vote Compact because they think the Republicans can never win the popular vote. Could you imagine what would happen in the streets of California if Donald Trump won the popular vote and California went, we have to give it to Trump now?
Oh, man.
2024.
Yeah.
They get all the electoral votes. They have enough states now. So they have 270 votes. It's guaranteed. And they're all laughing, saying, no, we will always have Democrats. And then Trump Jr. wins. And then California goes, I know that 75% of you voted for, Swalwell.
Yeah.
Cheat election. Cheat an election. But because of this compact, we've got to give all of those votes to Trump Jr. now. There's nothing to make California give Republicans votes. The only thing this does is create the possibility that blue states, solid blue states, will give their votes to a Republican. It's the stupidest idea I've ever heard.
Yeah.
But they're thinking that they can win once they get the popular vote. It'll never go Republican again. That's wrong. It's insane. Because Republicans could certainly just alter parts of their platform.
That's a good point.
But here's the bigger point. Right now, they have 196 electoral votes guaranteed in the compact. They need 120, and these are pending, meaning we're really close to them getting this.
Wow.
However, let me read this for you. They say the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact is an agreement among a group of U.S. states and D.C. to award all their electoral votes to whichever presidential candidate wins the overall popular vote in the 50 states and the District of Columbia. The compact is designed to ensure that the candidate who receives the most votes nationwide is elected president, and it would come into effect only when it would guarantee that outcome. And that's the main point. What if November 3rd, everybody goes and votes?
Yeah.
November 4th, Moody's Analytics, this is pre-pandemic, mind you, said that with maximum historical turnout, Democrats win by only a few electoral votes. And that with normal turnout, Trump will win heftily, to say the least.
Yeah.
Let's say because of COVID, it becomes very, very close, and because of mail-in voting, turnout is really high. But the Democrats come shy of about 30 votes. So California says, but because we signed this compact, if we give our votes to the national popular vote winner, it would guarantee the outcome, like it says.
Yeah, but that feels awful lot like California's just picking who the president is instead of the people.
Well, but they don't know who's going to win.
System.
They don't know who's going to win the popular vote.
Oh, they wouldn't.
They see it and then say, if we switch, then Democrats win. Okay.
Well, but they can't enact it unless it guarantees the outcome. So they have to at least there's a check to see.
So they
would know.
So let's say when it comes to election night,
okay,
everyone votes, and California sees that if they give their electoral votes to the popular vote winner, it will guarantee the outcome.
That's exactly what it sounds like. California's picking the president, not the American public.
But it could be Georgia, it could be Illinois, it could be New York. I'm just using them as an example.
Well, any of those examples I don't like because again, it's putting it on one state to make the choice.
Right.
So how frightening is that?
I forget the exact phrase. I was listening to one of the Weinstein brothers' Dark Horse podcasts, and one of the commentators said, I feel like I'm, in 5th or 6th century Rome. Rome no longer knows how to really take care of itself anymore. I mean, we had a discussion on this earlier. If there are legitimate complaints and even some grievances about how the system is currently set up. That if there was a serious argument or even bipartisan will to actually talk about it, I think a lot of people would be open to. But this is kind of like tossing the baby out with the bathwater. We're gonna skip the entire process and essentially do direct democracy, which, if any of you have ever taken any kind of philosophy courses, it usually descends into tyranny rather quickly. Tyranny of the majority. This is also covered in the Federalist Papers and the argument for federalism.
Yes, it is the tyranny of the majority. It is encapsulated, as many things are, in the Mel Gibson film, The Patriot, where he discusses, will I have 100 tyrants 3,000 miles away or 300 tyrants 100 miles away?
That's not a great. Those don't seem like great options.
No, they don't seem like great options at all. And I didn't realize that. We're running straight up to the end of the episode, but I want to do a whole episode here on the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. And Avalon, I'd love for you to join us on that. But I have links in the description to my previous stories that I've written about that. I didn't intend to let Tim Pool go that long, but I kind of did because I just wanted to hear him reach his end point. But let me know what you think in the comments with the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. Is this a viable threat to the stability of the United States? Could this be what finally shatters the Republic? Or do you believe that we're just going to keep on going the way we are? Or we're going to, hug, make peace, and, share free love all over the world. Let us know in the comments what you think. Again, you're listening to the HoloNet on the mighty, the powerful Mojo 50 Radio. Thank you, Avalon, for joining us, sir.
No problem. It was fun. Let's do it again.
Absolutely. And for everyone else, that music means it is time to go. So good night. God bless you. And God bless the United States of America from Phoenix, Arizona.